Ethics? Seriously? Yeah, it's pretty serious. Ethics play a big role in the organization. We really have a lot of things called the moral intensity and the conduct that we have. It really depends how good or bad people will be affected by a decision. Sometimes you can make a decision in the best of circumstances with the best of intentions, and it goes totally wrong, and everything you say and do is thrown back in your face, and you seem you can't do anything right. The probability of good or bad outcomes will occur. That's part of doing business. A lot of people are affected by it. So sometimes you have to stop and listen and see how it's affecting you. The whole aspect of values and the morality of a company is a 100% top-down phenomena. You may have this sense of values down here, but if they're in conflict, the ones up over here, you will constantly be beleaguered and frustrated by that organization. And you may want to find a different place to work. It becomes really difficult. I had a friend of mine who wanted to be a college president, and he had just drooling over the opportunity. And I was on an accrediting team, which actually goes out and evaluates a college. We went and we looked at this one college. It had gone through 3 presidents in 4 years and had gone through 5 different vice presidents in that same time period. It was chaos. It was awful. It was a horrible place to work. It was a top-down problem. The board of trustees didn't trust anybody, administration, and vice versa. It was a constant cauldron. He called me up. He says, I applied for the presidency up there. I says, don't take it. Don't take it. You'll be sorry. You'll be sorry. Oh, no, this is right for me. I can tell. I can tell by the feel of it. No, don't do it. The data says you will die. You will die. Once you'll die. I said, you'd get fired. You don't want to do it. He applied for the job and he got it. 18 months later, he's looking for a job. Yes. It wasn't a good place to work. That whole aspect of the top down plays a big role, especially about that moral sensitivity in people, past experience with moral dilemmas. You really want to have a whole empathic feeling about people that are affected by it, especially about people that really feel something is wrong. I had a friend of mine who worked in the union, and he says, you're the only person I've ever known, the only administrator I ever trusted. I says, why is that? He says, once upon a time, and he went back because he had a whole past orientation of his life. He says, I had this administrator and he told me one thing and he did the opposite. He lied. And ever since then, he was so jaded by that experience that every administrator was evil, straight from Satan himself. I says, when did that happen? He says, 23 years ago. I says, you think all administrators for the past 23 years are evil? He says, yeah, well, not you. Okay, you're the exception. And he said, but I got to watch you. I said, you probably do. Okay, but the reality of it was he didn't trust anybody for that whole time period because of one experience. People hold on to things and they can't let go of it sometimes because of what happened and the intensity of it and how it affected them. That's the self-view of a highly moral person, actually, in that case. So supporting ethical behavior, a lot of times you want to have a code of ethics. Literally, in my situation, I've had a code of ethics for the leadership, a code of ethics for the faculty, a code of ethics for the support staff, all those, and actually one code of ethics for the police department. I created 4 different codes. I work with the groups individually, and we created them. Okay, a lot of times you need to train and test people on ethical knowledge. Make certain that you're all on the same page. You need to communicate as to what the ethics system within your organization expects out of them. Have different ways of reporting and investigating, look on the different aspects of it. We're going to talk about the dark triad, and it leads off with the concept of Machiavellianism, political animals, dark, deep politics. There's a book out there written by Machiavelli called The Prince. If you want to dive into this, The Prince is actually a brilliant book written to lay out about secret political strategy and how to go about and secretly win over other people in a nice way, win over other people in a bad way. It's got multiple different strategies in it. If you want to get involved in high-level leadership, I encourage you to read the book. Not necessarily to adopt the practices, but pay attention to what practices people are doing to you in the process. So be careful out there. The higher you rise in your organization, the more you'll have the political forces waged against you. And sometimes you never see them coming. That's part of their actual way of acting. I believe that the seat's natural and acceptable. That's a motivation from the Machiavellianism. Okay, take pleasure in misleading, outwitting, controlling others, and don't empathize or trust your coworkers. Those are really the core components of Machiavelli. We have something coming up. We call it the dark triad, but narcissism, psychopathy, and sociopathy. We have a rise on it, and I'm not certain where it's coming from. I'm not certain where the roots are, but we see it more and more. And maybe it's always been there, but maybe we're revealing more about ourselves on all the different social media platforms, and we're seeing and hearing things that are out there. People will sit out there and they put things that are simply not true from the highest levels of leadership politically, highest levels of an organization. They'll put it out there just to spin and twist it, knowing full well what they're saying isn't true. They're just putting the twist on it because of perception. It's on the rise in every profession. When I was doing research for this particular time over here, I went online. We talked about narcissism and psychopathy. You can see it's in sociopathy. There's articles in psychology today. Even the Times of India. I was a little bit surprised. It was a pretty well-written article. So you'll see a lot of the different aspects of the psychology of this dark triad. It's out there. Narcissism and belief in one's own superiority. Okay, entitlement. I am special. It sounds a little bit like positive psychology, really, where it's got its roots, but narcissism has existed for a long, long time. I need to have attention. I'm special. I'm special. I'm special. And they're getting more attention than I am. I'm going to take care of them. You will come across people that are narcissists. Depends on the level. If you're in leadership, you may well be in combat with somebody else that's a full-blown narcissist and thinks that every single word they say is golden and every word that everybody else says isn't worth listening to because I'm the only one. A narcissist, until you meet one, it's always interesting. If you have conflict with somebody that is constantly looking for attention, they steal ideas and they sell them as their own. Okay, rise in leadership, and you'll see it. It's especially prevalent at the highest level in the world of politics. Psychopathy, they're social predators. They manipulate others. They have no remorse in the process. Okay, they just twit. They tweet that and over here as they go through. They're antisocial. They're impulsive. They enjoy doing things with no moral basis, fraudulent, thrill-seeking behavior, just to see if they can do it. Okay, they really have a nice job. They put on this really cool thing out over there. Oh, you look so nice today. I like your outfit. You look really nice. Wow, where did you get that? And they'll do that. In the meantime, they're all doing anything, but as soon as you turn your back, they will stab you either mentally, but sometimes even physically, without any remorse whatsoever. You deal with a narcissist, you deal with a psychopath or a sociopath, you'll have all kinds of different aspects of them wanting to be the true center of all attention. By the way, artificial intelligence now is exploding across the entire planet, especially in the United States. Artificial by its intelligence, by its own nature, the thing that we program into it, it's always a sociopath. We don't program emotions into the machine. We make them, this is this. They do this, you must do this. And they have this whole tree of different things. So keep that in mind that we're creating artificial sociopaths. Be on the good side of the artificial intelligence when they take over the whole planet. A sociopath, they don't have any empathy for anybody else. They will act on the spur of the moment, whatever it takes to get their will pushed through. They'll control others. They'll use charm. They'll use wit. They'll use aggression. They'll sit down and then say, if you don't do this to me, I will make your life miserable. And then they'll smile at you the next thing. A lot of the different aspects of the thing, you do this, you beat them, and then you're nice to them. And all of a sudden, the people that you were just beating, okay, they don't understand because you switch your behavior. It's a tactic because they're all craving for that, you think at least. They use intelligence, charm, or charisma. They manipulate others, whatever it takes. And it doesn't matter what happens. They don't learn. They don't learn at all. You may punish them. They make a mistake. You sit there and do things organizationally. This is the group that you want to have the dark triad out of your organization if you sense them. But a lot of times they will rise to leadership before you have an opportunity to get rid of them. So be careful about the aspect of the dark triad. Watch out for Machiavellianism. It's huge. Lying for personal gain is easy. They like doing it. Sometimes you have to sit down and document what they said. save it on email, save it in a memo, record what they have to say, and keep that. Says, you said this over here. I did not. You play it back with them. I might have said that, but you're misinterpreting it. No, here's what you said, and here's my response back to you. A lot of times when you're dealing with a sociopath or a narcissist, you must document things and keep memos of it. I had a full-blown narcissist sociopath I was working with, and I would record things, and it was interesting, on an email chain, this person would go through and take out 4 or 5 emails in the chain that were in there, and you have to keep your own chain that whenever you have a topic. So it's a big thing. Watch it. It is very difficult to track your behavior. You must keep extensive records and notes as to how you're dealing with them. There's a tendency, even for physical violence and fights, they will use raw anger, scream and yell or whatever. They'll do it behind the scenes and pretend it never happened. And you bring it up and they'll say you're a liar and prove it. Prove it what happens. So you have to record things and do all things just almost as secretly as they do. The dark triad, they have a tendency for white crime activity, workplace aggression or bullying. They risk wild decisions as they go. There's all kinds of politics. There's team behaviors. So ethics, seriously? Yeah, sometimes you really, it all starts at the top. There's a moral intensity. There's a moral insensitivity. There's Machiavellian behaviors. I encourage you to get the book called The Prince. Scope it out and see what it talks about. It's a very heavy reading book, but it might be helpful to you long-term because it really deals with the people who ethics is only a side issue. The whole thing is getting what they want to have done. The dark triad, I would encourage you, go past the scope of this course, look at narcissism, psychopathy, and then sociopathy. All 3 are critical and on the rise across planet Earth. Take care.